Typically, when you hear the words natural dye, you don't realize how earthy the aspect can actually be. Today, we're gonna teach you how to make an avocado dyed table runner.
This is a great way to use a really common object that you already have in your home in an unexpected way. And this is all that you need. It's not like this and then you add something else to it. We're basically going to prep our fabric and then boil this until it distills into this really beautiful pink dye, and then submerge our table runner in there.
We used avocados and other elements of nature to natural dye during our fall install this previous season.
Natural dyes have this really beautiful way of producing vibrant colors that are still earthy, and I feel like they were super inspiring to us as we tried to nail down our color palette this fall. A table runner is a great first project to try. It's something that can really bring a lot of life to your table, to your home. You can enjoy the beauty that this dye has to offer.
We're gonna organize this process into a couple steps. We're going to prep our fabric, create our dye, and then dye our table runner. So let's get started. You're obviously going to need your table runner, which just make sure it's long enough to cover your whole table. We have a cotton linen blend that we sourced online, but you could probably gather one locally. Just make sure that the fibers are natural. So we have everything we need to start. Let's go ahead and scour our fabric.
Scouring is going to remove any of the natural oils or waxes that are surface treated on fabric when it comes from the factory. This is going to help our fabric to accept the dye. Without scouring, it might reject anything that we try to absorb into it.
So we can go ahead and get started by putting your table runner through a hot cycle in your washer machine. Right now, you don't need any soap or anything. This is just a quick wash to get any residue initially off of your fabric.
And then you can take the table runner directly out of the washing drum and put it right into a pot of boiling water.
We went ahead and brought our pot of water to a boil so we can add our soap and soda now. We're gonna add a tablespoon of each.
And it's not an exact science.
Not an exact science. The most important part is that you have enough water in your pot to a boil that your fabric is able to freely float within it. And now that our soap and soda is in our boiling water, we're ready to add our freshly washed table runner.
So we've pulled our table runner out from our hot cycle, and we are going to drop it into our boiling water. Just gonna kind of let it get a little loose in there. There we go. So now that your table runner is in your boiling pot to scour, we're just going to put the lid back on, let it simmer for 2 hours. The most important thing is that you see the water change from clear to that yellowish color. All right, our table runner has been boiling for 2 hours. We turned off the heat a little while ago and we let the water cool naturally. Now we're gonna pull the table runner out, plop it in a bucket, and take it to the rinse cycle in our washing machine.
And you can actually see how yellow our water is. This is everything that's been pulled out of the fabric, all the natural oils and stuff from production of the material. If your water is gross, that means you did a great job scouring.
Do keep in mind that natural dyes also naturally fade. When you wash your fabric, a mordant keeps it from letting go of a lot of that dye. So if you want this to last a long time, we do suggest using a mordant.
If you want to accept the challenge of attempting to mordant, we encourage you to look up that process. We're not going to do that today because we're trying to make it a little bit more easily accessible, and we're still going to get a great result. We're going to need our avocado pits and skins. We've gone ahead and pre-cleaned them. We sliced the avocado in half. We scooped out the meat with a spoon and rinsed them under cool water in the sink, and took the pits and also just rinsed them in the sink. First, we're gonna fill our pot with water. Enough water to where our table runner is gonna be able to free float so the dye can evenly absorb onto it.
You can use the same pot that you used to scour your fabric in. We have taken the same pot, dumped our soapy liquid down the drain, and then just given it a good rinse. Now we have some fresh water in it, and we're going to use it to create our dye.
So I'm gonna gather 6 or 7, let's do 7 avocados worth of pits and skins. So let me grab 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that means there will be 14 half skins. So we can add our clean pits and skins to our cool water and then get it boiling.
All right, give them a stir.
So we've got our avocado pits and skins in our cool water and have turned the heat on so we can get it to a rolling boil. We're gonna boil it for approximately 2 hours. Our main goal is to get the water to a deep maroon color. We've waited about 2 hours with our pits and skins in the water. What we're gonna be looking for is the color of the water itself. It'll turn pink, but we're waiting for it to turn into a deep maroon color. I would say that it's about the time as well, because if you're gonna make a tea, you can put a bunch of your tea leaves into it, but if it doesn't have ample time, it's not gonna be able to release everything naturally that it needs to into the water if you're taking it out prematurely.
Okay, so our avocado tea is steeping in our boiling water.
Yes.
So we are gonna check its strength and see if it's where we want it to be. And it's been about 2 hours. We probably could have let it go less time, and we could let it go more time too.
Yeah, the longer you let it steep, the deeper the color it's gonna be. We're gonna check ours to make sure that 2 hours has been long enough.
I'm excited to see.
I know, me too. It's hot. Great. So I would say that this is a great color for our dye and that we are good to go ahead and strain our avocado remnants out of the dye. Even though it is a really deep burgundy color, you're gonna get a beautiful pink from this.
We know from experience that this has gone far enough for our avocado dye, so we can pull it out. Also with natural dye, I feel like it always looks darker, right?
It does,
It
yeah.
always looks darker. It's something about how the natural dye absorbs into the fabric. Just since it's a natural process and it's not synthetic, it takes a little bit more time. It needs to be a little bit more concentrated to produce a vibrant effect.
Since the dye is ready, we can go ahead and turn off the heat and strain our dye.
So is there anything else this dye needs before our fabric goes in?
No, we are good to go. Let's grab our table runner and start the last step, which is gonna be dyeing it. We've scoured our table runner and we have created our dye. So now it's time to get started on the last step.
Yeah, we've got our scoured table runner over here, and it doesn't matter if you're taking this right out of the rinse cycle or if it's dried, it can go straight into the dye.
Awesome.
Right.
Yay. I'm gonna use this. Ours is still a little warm since we've recently strained it. It's okay if your dye has cooled a little bit as well, but I like it when it's warm. So I'm just allowing our table runner to kind of free flow in the dye, stirring it up a little bit, making sure that it's well saturated before I let it sit. You can immediately start to see the color differentiation. I'll pull it out just so you can take a peek already, but it's better to let it sit. The longer it sets, the more impactful your dye is gonna be on the runner. So we're gonna let our table runner sit in the dye for minimum an hour. This is, again, not a perfect science. You can allow your runner to sit in there even overnight. We've done that and had a great result with color, but even an hour can do something beautiful to your table runner. The longer you let the table runner sit in the dye, the deeper the color is gonna be.
Yeah, we actually have some really cool prototypes that Megan did leading up to this process.
Oh, yeah.
Because this one you just dipped, right?
That was just a quick dip in the dye and a rinse, and yeah, it's a beautiful, soft pink.
I know, and that was the same dye bath, just in there for a while longer, right?
Yeah, the rest of them sat overnight. So they were in there probably a total of 16 hours, but these are all different materials.
And
so,
these are all cotton, right?
Yes, except for the one that you're still holding.
Right. This
guy,
I recognize.
Yeah.
So we use this in our kitchen display in the market. We eco-printed a bunch of flowers onto the silk chiffon, and then we also over-dyed it with some colors that were actually inspired by avocado dye.
Yeah.
So I love this. I love how sheer it is, and I also love the depth of color in it. It's so
Yeah.
delicate.
It's fun that you can get such a variety of color from one fruit.
All right, so it's been an hour, which is what you said we needed to wait at least.
Minimum, yes.
Okay, now we're gonna pull it out.
Yeah, let's
See
check
how it
and see.
looks?
Let's check and see what an hour is done.
Cool. So just like with any dye, whether you're using a store-bought dye or a natural dye like we are, you need to take it out, wring it out a little bit, and then rinse it until it runs clear, either in a sink that you're not concerned about getting dye on or outside with a hose.
Yeah. We actually already have one rinsed and dried, so we can show it to you. So I'm just gonna plop this back in here.
So this is one that we just pulled out a little while ago and let it dry, and I love it. I think that it has just beautiful tones and textures. I love the natural dye and how it took. I love the texture of this one too. The linen blend is cool. I haven't seen that yet. We've only done cotton.
Yeah, I really like it.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, and the dye is set very evenly.
This is an awesome result. I really love it.
I also love how it turned out, and I hope that you guys enjoyed how yours turned out as well. This is not a perfect science, so if it doesn't look exactly like this, that is perfectly okay. It's what you've created, and it's what you want it to be. So try a couple different things, experiment with it, be creative, and have fun with the process.
We hope this inspires you to keep experimenting with natural dyes. There are so many fun ways to use them. Thanks for following along with us, and I hope you had a lot of fun.